What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the scorecard, the boxing scorecard, where I ask people to bring your scorecard and an explanation, not just simply your opinion. I'm back from Sofia, Bulgaria. Shout out to Boxing Canada for giving me the opportunity to travel to the other side of the world, 7-hour time difference, to help guide some of the athletes from the female senior team in one of the toughest tournaments in amateur boxing, female boxing. For this specific reason, the Balcom tournament, this was the 8th annual Balcom tournament, and I am going to get to the scorecard in a second, but it's not as far as levels, as far as level of competition. Like, it's not considered a Commonwealth or Olympics or something like that, but as far as the top countries in the world, the top countries are there, so it's still a tough tournament. So we came up short, but the experience that was gained is very valuable, and I'm sure that all the athletes on the team will be successful in the future. More details about that after. But what we are here for is the matchup which happened on a Friday night as opposed to the usual Saturdays. Shakur Stevenson versus Robson Conceicao. Starting with the challenger first from Brazil. Full name Robson Donato Conceicao, 33 years old, has a record of 17 wins, 8 losses with 2 knockouts. He challenged Oscar Valdez a couple of fights ago. He lost a unanimous decision, but it was a competitive match. That was his last time he had a championship opportunity. He goes up against who I believe is going to be one of the top boxers in the sport in just a little bit, Shakur. His actual full name is Ash Shakur Nafi Shahid Stevenson. He is 25 years old, American. Both of these boxers here are high-level boxers. They both won medals at the 2016 Olympics. Conceicao actually is the first Brazilian. I need to confirm that, but pretty sure he was the first Brazilian to win a gold medal at the Olympics. They've had lots of boxers medal, but none exactly gold medal. So shout out to him. And he, at the time, he was 27 years old when Robson won his gold medal in 2016. In 2016, Shakur Stevenson was 19 years old when he won his silver medal at the Olympics. And then, which is, I always said from back then, boxing wise, he's very mature for his age. Shout out to his grandfather who taught him since he was 3 years old. I mean, a lot of people teach their kids when they're young, but it's very few that actually make it to the top level. So shout out to him. He had Shakur Stevenson a record of 19 wins, 9 knockouts, and looking very good each time. This matchup right here, however, was supposed to be at 130 pounds. Mr. Stevenson stepped in a pound and 1.6 pounds overweight. Now, just thinking about it, it might not seem like a big difference, but depending how tough the weight cut was, if you're losing, if it was already tough to lose that 10 pounds, that the extra one might be the difference. Now, there's really, before we get into the details about the scorecard, obviously, there's two reasons why boxers miss weight for the most part. Number one reason, you're just simply not disciplined with your nutrition. The second reason is you're outgrowing the weight class, right? Maybe the way that you were doing things before was working, but as you get older, metabolism starts to slow down, so you have to be even more careful. So when you're younger, you can get away with not eating as disciplined, and you just simply run it off. But as you get to the ages of from your mid-20s, you got to be a little bit more careful. So the way that you used to do things and get the weight off might not be as easily done when you start to get in your mid-20s. So the nutrition part is just as important as the training itself. Shout out to Zev. I see you. It's gonna get through this real quick. I'm gonna get to my scorecard. I'm gonna get to the scorecard, and then I'm gonna get to your comments. All right. So I believe he had a sincere apology. He's gonna be moving up to 135, and we'll get to more details about that. But all right, let's get right to the scorecard because he did pitch a shutout, but the numbers don't tell the whole story because it was closer than the fight looked. My quick notes for each round. My official scorecard was 118 to 101. Yeah. I only gave really the 10th round, and but there was other close rounds that I marked. So starting with the first one first. Round one, defense, distance for defense. Everyone talks about Shakur Stevenson as far as his distance, knowing his distance, but it's not just simply the distance. It's it's the defensive mind of that distance, getting out of position. Of course, when you're throwing punches, you're in the danger zone yourself, but making sure you're getting out of that range. That's what he's very good at. And even when he is in that danger zone, his defense is very tight. So it's not just simply when they talk about how good his distance is, it's not just for offense, it's specifically for defense. How getting out of that range where you're not in a position to hit him or hit him with a clean punch at least. Because even when you are close, his defense is tight. Round notes for round two, beginning of the high low. About 6 or 7 of them, sometimes just straight left downstairs. Shakur made very good use of the high-low. He did start to get low with it, but specifically in the second round, when he was doing the high-low, it wasn't low. He was actually coming like to the body. That was the beginning of it. He landed about 6 or 7. He did it about 6 or 7 times. 2 or 3 times, he just threw the straight left downstairs. Round 3, getting low with the high-lows. This is when like a lot of those body shots, they were right on the borderline. His defense was still good and tight because the Brazilian was Conceicao, I'll just call him Robson. Robson was throwing good punches, but Shakur's defense is very good in the danger zone. So even when he wasn't even really backing up, he was just staying within that pocket, leaning back and keeping he's a southpaw. Shoulder forward, keeping that left hand up right by it to block it, any jabs coming forward or any right hands that Robson was throwing. Doing a good job there. Round 4, all these rounds are given to Stevenson, but they're still tight. I didn't mark them as close rounds, but he didn't just clearly run away with it. Late, there was a late body shot that Shakur landed in the end of the 4th round. Robson took a knee, but I didn't really appreciate how the ref, even though I teach the high-low, that offensive thing, the high-low jab that had straight right to the body. Shakur was doing it a lot, but that low was very borderline, and the ref should have been a little bit more on top of that with telling him to keep it up. It wasn't blatantly low, but it was definitely borderline. Some of them were low. So it was working for him, though, because he would come high, low, and then randomly just come with a regular 1-2, where there was a straight down the middle or bring in a little bit on a different angle, and he was landing them clean. Round 5, all these rounds are for Shakur so far. Round 5, shout out to Shakur's grandfather. I forget his name, and they didn't mention his name, but, when it comes to great coaches, everyone has different criteria. It depends what your criteria is. I don't just believe you have to train multiple boxers to be called a great coach, even if it's just one, because how hard it is to bring one person to a world championship level. Training from 3 years old up until right now, he's at 20 fights and regarded as one of the top boxers in the whole world of boxing. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson's grandfather for coaching him with those skills, and he's still in his corner giving him instructions now. The reason why I bring his name up is in that 5th round, he asked him to step it up. He asked Shakur Stevenson to step it up with starting with more jabs and walking him down, which he did, as I got the highlights on here, which he was doing. However, the Brazilian Robson, you got to respect him because even though, well, let me just read my full notes. Shakur's complaining that he's holding, but it's not extra to where it deserves to get a warning. It's just a break, like where when two boxers kind of get together and they kind of get tangled up, especially a southpaw versus an orthodox person, they kind of get tangled up, and the referee sometimes has to yell break instead of the both boxers doing it. Shakur was kind of complaining that he was holding, but it wasn't holding. It wasn't. That was just getting mixed up because of the two different stances. Here's a situation where the numbers don't tell the whole story, because after that fifth round, they pulled up a stat that said 30 out of 80 body shots that were landed for Shakur Stevenson, and the Brazilian only landed 3 out of 31. That 3 out of 31 is right for the Brazilian, but those 30 out of the 80 is not too accurate, because to be honest with you, it was a lot of high lows, a lot of body shots, but probably a good, I would say a good 6 or 7 of them were low, and a good 2 more were like borderline. But at the end of the day, he still landed like over 20 clean ones with the high low. And that was a big difference in how he was being accurate to the head. With that being said, the Brazilian showed why he won the gold medal at the Olympics, man, because with his defense, it was with his defense, not just surviving, but he was doing very good. Round 6, my specific notes for round 6, Shakur is not coasting to a victory. He was trying to step it up, and because he wasn't backing up. And the specific reason why, as I mentioned before, the Brazilian Robson offensively, he wasn't landing any punches, which nobody does against Shakur Stevenson at a high level, high percentage. But defensively, he was showing why he was a 2016 gold medalist. Speaking of the Brazilian, he was showing the reason why, because Shakur, think about this, Shakur was walking him down, but he wasn't hurting him. Like, he wasn't beating him up. Like, when it's, you rarely see situations like that where the one guy is straight up walking him down, but not hurting him. These guys are two highly defensive guys, and yeah, it was for me entertaining to watch. Now, starting from round 8 till 12, this is where the scorecard is very interesting. And my bad, I haven't got to the comments. I'm gonna get through the scorecard, then I'm gonna get to the comments. Round 8, from round 8 to round 12, I marked every round as a close round. I still gave all of them, most of them, to Stevenson. Let's get through it. So round 8, the Brazilian is fighting back. The doctor that came in to ask him questions between that 7th round, that was useless. Like, they need more. Anyways, that doctor they was asking rookie questions. Like, the doctor actually said to him, like, "Are you okay? Are you feeling dizzy?" Like, a boxer's pride, if you ask them if they're okay, they're 100% of the time they're gonna say okay. No one's gonna actually, well, very rarely, there's someone gonna look at you and say, "No, I'm not okay. Throw in the towel for me." No one says that. Anyways, with that being said, the doctor came in and asked him questions, but that wasn't even justified. And everyone knows I'm more of, safety first. But again, it just looked not competitive because Stevenson was not getting a lot of punches landed on him. But at the same time, the Brazilian wasn't getting a lot of hard punches landing on him either. And of course, it doesn't take hard punches to get hit all the time for them to have an effect. But he did not look in any danger. Talking about the Brazilian. Round 9 marked as a close round. Shakur kind of flipped him over. They kind of got tangled up. Shakur Stevenson got frustrated and kind of flipped him over. The referee took a point away from that. Finally stepped in to do something about something, but that was justified, but he still should have said something earlier about the high lows, the excessive lows with the high lows. Again, the Brazilian showed why he was a gold medalist defensive wise. He wasn't just surviving. Robson wasn't just surviving, because even though he was not winning rounds, he was not getting beat up. Like I said, he was doing smart things like keeping, when you're facing someone if you're an orthodox fighter, meaning you have your left foot forward and you're facing a southpaw, meaning your opponent has their right foot forward, ideally you want to create different angles by keeping your lead foot on the outside of their lead foot. And what Robson was doing when they were both in front of each other, their feet would be right in front of each other. But as soon as he would go to make a move to throw a punch, he would move his lead foot to the outside and then come in. So, and not only was he moving his foot, but his whole body would shift over, meaning his head wasn't in one spot, not just coming in a straight line. He would step over and then come in, which made it not sometimes that he wasn't not a moving target. So Shakur Stevenson accuracy was off too. And Robson was doing a very good job of his defense too. Round 10 marked it as a close round. Round 10, I actually gave it to the Brazilian. Specifically, this is the reason why. The fight was in the center of the ring. Just think about that for a second. Everyone that says the fight was, the fight was in the center of the ring. And in the last 20 to 30 seconds, the Brazilian actually walked him down. Robson actually walked Shakur down in the last 20 to 30 seconds of that 10th round. So I marked it as a close round and I actually gave that round to the Brazilian. Round 11, I also marked it as a close round, gave it to Shakur, and that they were both in the center of the ring. Again, the last 4 rounds were in the center of the ring. Again, Shakur Stevenson, center of the ring. Round 11, sometimes, and this was my specific note was, sometimes I have to take myself out of the coaching perspective and put myself into the spectator or the casual fan's perspective, because I understand for some people this fight would be considered a boring fight because there was no significant knockdown. Nobody was on wobbly feet looking like they were about to get stopped and then had a major comeback. There was no cool storyline to follow for people to really follow the opponent. So to the casual fan, this might have been boring, but to boxing coaches, specifically myself as a defensive coach, this was very interesting to watch, to see 2 high-level boxers not waiting, but wondering who's going to make that first mistake, and they were not making mistakes. Like I said, the Brazilian, he wasn't just surviving, he was boxing but just not as good as Stevenson. And then round 12, again, Stevenson. So final score 118 to 108 for Stevenson. Let me get to the comments now. Oh, we got everybody in here. Whoa, I got to rewind a lot. So starting with my man Zev all the way down there. Stevenson is so good. He makes everyone fight his pace. Hence, it comes across as boring. It will be intriguing to see as he goes up in weight to faces Loma, Haney, and Davis. Yes, very interesting. We're going to talk about that after too. Who is he going to be taking on at 135? Who's going to be interesting? I know Loma, for a long time, Loma's other fighters have to earn their shot with him. At the same time, at 34 years old, you better be careful how long you're waiting around. What else you guys have? What is next gear? Looks like the question up until now, he's too good for his opposition. Live fight party. Anyone Sunday mornings getting hard. A live fight party. All right, man. Let's see. A few people have been asking for that. I might do one. See if a few more people have to get in with that. What up? Chris Peters. Good morning. I think all Stevenson's wins moving forward will have to be very dominant. Performances. Haney versus Stevenson will be very interesting. Yes, Hangover Sunday. I would chat about live fight chat. I agree with Zev's card. Shout out to Chris Peters. Good morning. David Chase. Oh, let me get a hold of these here. Apologies. David Chase. The fight was actually somewhat entertaining as Robson came to fight for the first half, but in the second half, his legs were gone and he was for the taking. I agree with exactly. The fight was entertaining to educated boxing fans. I have to respectfully disagree with your second comment about his legs were gone. I don't think his legs were gone. His punching power with the punches the very few that he landed did not have the same effect on Shakur. But again, he wasn't just surviving, man. He was showing reason why he won a gold medal at the Olympics because of his defense. Shout out to Tyler Lee. Tyler Lee said, "I have followed Shakur's career from the start. Boxing is called the sweet science, and Stevenson is the epitome." I hope I pronounced that properly. Stevenson is the epitome of that, but knockouts and excitement are what sells. Yes, of course, highlights and knockouts are what sells, but defenses keeps your brain cells. Oh, that's a bar. That's a bar. Highlights and knockouts are what sells, but defense keeps your brain cells. Yeah. I like that one. So again, another perfect example of that is Andre Ward. A lot of people complain how his boxing style was very boring. Even his interviews were very boring. He didn't really call people out. He wasn't like, just going crazy. So for that reason, I'm pretty sure what I always say is pretty sure he's okay with the couple million that he has in his bank account chilling. Of course, he could have been made more by acting different, but he stayed true to himself, just stayed calm and did his thing. What else you got, Tyler Lee? Can he beat most, if not all, the top 135 pounders? Probably. 116, 111 Stevenson on my card. I would like to fight. I would like a live fight chat. Okay. A lot of people are asking for the live fight chat. Sports Culture Gaming. What up? Statistics wise, Mayweather actually got hit much more at 130 to 135 than Stevenson. Whoa. Where do you mean statistic wise? Are you sure about this? Don't just be throwing out numbers. Like, this is the explanation show, not just the throwing out random numbers without backing them up. When you say statistic wise, Mayweather actually got hit more at 135 than Stevenson. Are you sure about that? I'm not saying that you're lying. Just make sure that you're facts with those things. Mayweather had a lot more power than Shakur at 130 as well. That said, people don't understand Haney Stevenson. People don't understand how much of a great fight that would be. I think it would be great. What up to Don Hickshaw? Thank you for chiming in. I think there was a round where Robson hurt Shakur with a double lead right. Yes. Later on, like round 6 or 7, I couldn't, I watched the fight 2 or 3 times already, but I couldn't find where exactly was that time. But Robson did land some good ones. But it was more dominant performance in that one guy couldn't hurt the other, but one guy could. Yeah, man, like I said, 2 highly defensive guys. And that had something to do with not making weight, maybe a lot to do with not making weight. This was obvious. I hope people aren't arguing this point. I think that the Haney fight is much more intriguing now. I used to think that Shakur beats Haney, but now I don't think so anymore. Haney's work ethic is next level from what I hear. Yes, I hear that a lot. Haney's work level, skills wise, I all these guys are top level. One thing, I hear a lot of people say that the 135-pound division. Oh yeah, Eric, do we got the pictures? We got the pictures up. Where's the pictures of the fight? A lot of people say the 135-pound division is top heavy. I don't think it's top heavy. I think it's stacked up in any one of the guys, and even though even though they might be with different promoters, any one of them fights are big. I'm not sure. You said before you thought Shakur beats Haney, but not so anymore. What would be the difference now? Again, going back to the weight thing, I just simply think the way Shakur probably did not have a nutritionist before, so he was probably just eating whatever he wants and just was able to run it off. But now that he's 25 and the metabolism slowed down, I think that's why he wasn't able to lose that last 1.6. So I think that's the difference there. But I think he'll stay focused. I'm not sure if that's the reason why you think that Haney will get him. I don't think it's that easy to say that. But thank you very much for chiming in. You also got to say, Mr. Hickshaw, Haney is not going to miss weight probably ever again. Yeah, I should have read the rest of your comments. That would never happen to him, and he's still improving as a fighter. Still, that would be a difficult fight for Shakur. It would be a difficult fight for both of them. Devin Haney definitely looked great against his performance against George Cambosis. And, if we're comparing opponents, I think the Brazilian Robson Conceicao would also beat George Cambosis. So, I don't know. That's, it's very interesting. At the end of the day, I don't think any one of these guys, I think if in close fights, I think Shakur would get all of these guys if if they fought each other. I don't think it would be a blowout. I just got Shakur just like a little bit above them. My man Noel, what up, said chilling in Vegas. Okay. I wonder what gyms, Noel, if you've been to any gyms, let me know. In your opinion, when a boxer has the ability to turn the lights out in a second, like Tank and Garcia, it's a game changer. Guys fight differently. Yeah, definitely. Tank's definitely a finisher. Ryan Garcia is wait, which Garcia are you talking about? See, the thing about Ryan Garcia, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's more of the social media presence that's keeping his name relevant. He needs to either fight more often or fight, not just saying that you're throwing big names out there, but fighting them. Shakur doesn't have, what else you got to know? Because Shakur doesn't have lights out power, guys are going to be much more aggressive with him in the higher weights. Anyways, I'll have to think about this. Yeah. Thank you for your comment. And I hear what you're saying. Because he doesn't have power. Yeah. If you feel that don't have to be as much aware of your opponent's power, it gives you a little bit more confidence to be a little bit more aggressive. However, to nullify that aggressiveness of someone coming at you, if you're blocking or making the person miss a lot more than they're landing, that's what makes a person hesitate more. And again, we talked about when people talk about Shakur Stevenson's distance, it's not just his distance for offense, it's specifically his distance for getting out of that danger zone where he can literally let you see punches right coming within inches of his face and he's not even flinching, or he has his hand up in that perfect position to block it. So when your defense is tight, it kind of makes your opponent hesitate a little bit more. So that's the reason why I still think even moving up in weight, and he's still, only 25, so doesn't fully have his man strength yet. I still think that will make the difference with him coming out, edging the victory over most of the guys or all the guys at 135, including Lomachenko. Yes, I said it. Hopefully that fight could happen as soon as possible. Again, Lomachenko is 34 now, still looking good and looked good in his last fight. But he's at that athlete age where in a couple of years, a couple of soon years, the reflexes and reaction time start to slow down. So what else you got? But in the meantime, let's see how Loma looks against Ortiz, Haney with Cambosis. And Scrapbook Boxing, what up? Peace and good morning to all. Peace and good morning. Thank you for being here. Yeah, let's see how Loma looks in his next opponent coming up in a couple of weeks. As far as Haney versus Cambosis, I think it's it's going to be just like the rematch between Usyk and Joshua, where it was, the rematch looked even easier than the first fight for Usyk. And we both know Devin Haney's work ethic, so I can't see a difference. I really can't see a difference in the rematch between Devin Haney and George Cambosis. I think it's going to be a 12-round educational schooling that we're going to watch again on how to keep an aggressive opponent away from you. Yeah, what else I got on my notes here? And what other comments? Thank you for everyone for coming in here. Just going through my notes. Again, as far as him missing weight, the significance of Shakur Stevenson missing weight and the reason why. Shout out to Mike and OJ, who had a very We have a very good boxing, educated boxing discussions. I believe that this is a learning lesson. Like I said, for this is a learning lesson that Shakur is going to learn from, and I don't believe he's going to make this mistake again. And here's the difference with combat sports, with boxing and MMA and other professional sports. You're working out all the time, and you're still watching what you eat. Of course, you're still being very watchful of what you eat as a professional athlete. And the goal is to get yourself as strong as you can while still being athletic enough to perform well against the other top athletes in your sport. That's for all professional athletes. Now, the difference between boxing and MMA, you're doing that same thing. You're eating to get as strong as you can and still be athletic. The only difference is, depending on how active you are in your career, about 2 or 3 times a year, you actually have to lose about 10 to 15 pounds for your competition. Right? It's not just simply losing 10, 15 pounds just for the sake of it, but you have to do that in order to get ready to compete at the weight that you signed a contract for. So it gets a little bit tougher when you're in your mid 20s. So with Shakur Stevenson, I don't think he's going to make this mistake again. I think he's going to be disciplined with his nutrition, and we'll see a difference at 135. We got some more comments coming in. Nick Leishman, Shakur won easily. It was just a bit messier than he normally is. In a way, you could say it was like Floyd versus Augustus. Easy win, but unorthodox style made it messy. Again, the messiness. I don't think the messiness was how much Robson was missing his punches. All right, because Robson was throwing what I like to say, throwing air balls. He wasn't landing anything, just landing air, aiming, just 2-3 inches off or to the left or to the right, not because of his own fault, because against most other fighters, he lands, I would say 60, I don't know this different from him, but a high percentage of his punches. But against it's some fighters that make you look bad. Sometimes it's not, when people blame the fighter, sometimes it's not the fighter themselves, but it's the opponent that makes you look bad. This shot right here, I think this is from, I'm not sure if this was when he got dropped. No, this is when the flip happened. And Shakur Stevenson, he's kind of complaining after the fight. This is one thing I didn't appreciate in the post-fight press conference after the fight. Shakur was complaining. He kept on mentioning that the Brazilian was holding on to him. I don't agree with that. He wasn't holding on to him. They were just getting tangled up, and it's the referee job just to yell break. There wasn't, there was 1 or 2 times where you can tie him up. There's a difference between tying someone up and just straight up holding them. I don't think it was to the point. I don't think Robson was doing it to the point of deserving to get a point taken away. Keep those pictures going through. I don't think he was doing it to the point where it's going away. This picture right here, as you see, Robson with his gold medal in his mouth here. Again, offensive wise, that's why people might say the fight was messy, but defensive wise, this fight was not messy. This is the reason why Robson was able to go 12 rounds with him, right? If you think about that, like Shakur was walking him down, like nobody was backing up from round 8 till 12. Robson was actually backing him. I mean, Shakur Stevenson was walking him down, or they were both right in the center of the ring, going toe to toe. But the defense, both of their defensive levels were so high. That's why nothing was getting through. Like right here, this picture right here is exactly how most of the time the fight was, just right in the center of the ring. Robson doing his thing. Yes. So what is next up? Now we get back into the comments. Let me know what is next for Shakur Stevenson. Again, at only, how many fights does he have now? He is at 19 fights. So yeah, man, 19 fights at 25 years old at the 135-pound division. It's gonna be very interesting to see what goes on in the next couple of years. Oscar Valdez, as we make a little appearance from Spider-Man here. Say what up, what up. What up? Oscar Valdez might be a good rematch for Conceicao. Again, Lomachenko. Shakur's been calling out Lomachenko for a while. I think it'll be very competitive. You can go through the picks again. I think it'll be competitive, but Lomachenko to really, he's already a great boxer, Hall of Fame guy. But I think it'd be very great if he took on Stevenson right now. I think it'd be very interesting to see what happens. Bless you. And yeah. As far as Tank Davis, live fight party, sure, why not? Nick Leishman wants a live fight party. All right, man.
I'm going to be playing Fortnite.
I think we're gonna have to make that happen sometime soon for one of the next big fights. But which fight party do you guys want a fight for? Just any next big fight or a specific match that you want to see? Let me know. Turn the volume down. Let me know which fight party, which boxing match you want to have the light fight party for. What else we got? Any other questions?
No, I can't hear them at all.
Any other questions or comments? Nothing at all. Doing live boxing right now. Yes, talking fight. Of course, the show is every Sunday. We're back to the regular Sunday. Every Sunday, 9:30. Every Sunday live, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you can't catch the show live, you can catch the show on where you listen to podcasts. Talkin' Fight, the #1 boxing channel on YouTube. Also catch me at Cedric Sports Training on my YouTube channel, at Cedric Sports on any social media. Questions, comments. If you haven't done it yet, please press the like button and share and subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, I'll be back next week.
Can I subscribe myself?
Peace.